Although the release of its first season was just a few weeks ago, the Korean thriller that is Squid Game has quickly become a title that everyone is talking about. And as it turns out, the popularity of the show has actually landed it in hot water. So why was production forced to remove a key scene from the series? And will the show's reception lead to Netflix being sued? For this and more, stay tuned. How popular is the show right now? With a premise like that, it's not really surprising that Squid Game has become one of the most popular Korean shows on the platform. But as more and more fans have suggested to their friends and families, the series has been able to leap over the foreign language barrier and defeat all other competitors on the market. In fact, experts have said that Squid Game took just 4 days after its initial release to secure itself the title of #1 show in the United States. This is pretty impressive considering how the show has its basis in Korea and thus requires viewers to read subtitles if they wish to consume the original content. That being said, in true Netflix fashion, the streaming platform has made this more digestible by including a dubbed version of the show. And since the subbed edition of Squid Game isn't much different from the original one, there's no doubt that this has helped propel it into popularity. As of right now, Squid Game has been racking up a crazy amount of views, and to date, it's been seen by more than 82 million subscribers worldwide. And if the show's projections remain where they are right now, it won't take long for the Korean thriller to surpass the likes of Bridgerton, The Witcher, and of course, Stranger Things. That being said, popularity isn't always a good thing. So what mistake led to this moment? You see, the creators of Squid Game had absolutely no idea that the show would blow up to the extent that it did. Sure, Korean shows have always been popular on the platform, but it's not often that a series hailing from the country makes an impact larger than all of the top shows in America combined. As such, not much thought was put into the various small details that could be found throughout the runtime of the series. A great example of this can be seen in the first episode of the season, where Gi-hun is handed the mysterious business card containing the telephone number of the games. And while the business card is clearly fake, the phone number the showrunners decided to include on the back of it is actually real. In a world where Easter eggs are hiding around every corner, it goes without saying that more than a few fans of the show wanted to call the number in an attempt to explore every aspect of the series. And since the number belongs to a person who is not affiliated with Netflix or the production of the show, this has become pretty problematic. What effect has this inclusion had on the owner? In fact, ever since Squid Game premiered on September 17th, the Korean man who owns the number has been receiving an insane amount of calls and texts from people who apparently want to play the game. According to reports, this has been upwards of around 4,000 calls a day thanks to the mistake made by production. And as you can imagine, this has thrown the life of the owner for a bit of a loop. What makes things worse is the fact that the number is attached to the man's small business. As such, cannot be changed without having to first inform his loyal customers of the situation. Something that's becoming increasingly difficult because of the stream of calls and texts he's receiving every moment of the day. And asked about the effect that this has had on his life, the man had the following to say: "It's come to a point where people are reaching out day and night due to their curiosity. It drains my phone's battery and it turns off. At first I didn't know why, then my friend told me that my number came out in the series." And while the irresponsible inclusion of this number was enough to cause a controversy for the production of the show, it was the initial response of the crew that really rubbed the public the wrong way. If you, like us, are dying to know all Netflix has said in response to all the drama, don't go anywhere. We're getting into it right now. Netflix finally responds to the public outcry. You see, when this story first made headlines, the production of the series responded to the situation by stating that it would be easy for the man in question to just change his number. What was lacking from this statement was any form of apology. And on top of that, the official response went on to say that nothing could be done from the show side to make things better for the man. In other words, he was on his own. Suffice to say, the public called out the show for being irresponsible in its production. And this wasn't the first time either, with Gi-hun's bank account number also being the true account of a South Korean citizen. That case was a bit different though, with the holder of the account being paid so that the show could use the number without consequence. But it looks like Netflix has now stepped in and managed to rectify things to a certain extent. According to reports, the streaming platform has gone on to remove the scene that shows off the poor man's cell phone number, hopefully reducing the number of calls he's receiving on a daily basis. That being said, the number is already plastered all over the internet, so we doubt that the man will be in the clear anytime soon. Still, at least it's something. Looks like Netflix might have to pay up soon. Unfortunately for Netflix though, this wasn't the end of all and be all of the situation. As it turns out, the streaming platform is currently being sued, and it's not not for the reason you might think. You see, the immense popularity of Squid Game has dramatically increased the amount of internet traffic experienced in South Korea, which has resulted in the internet provider SK Broadband feeling less than cheery. According to reports, Netflix is considered to be South Korea's second largest internet traffic generator, falling just behind YouTube. But what's the problem with Netflix bringing in more traffic? Well, as it turns out, the streaming platform doesn't pay network usage fees like other internet traffic regulators such as Amazon, Facebook, and Apple. Considering how SK Broadband is apparently processing around 1.2 trillion bits of data per second because of the explosion of Squid Game, the lack of payment by Netflix is alleged to be unfair. This isn't anything new either. Netflix has actually brought its own lawsuit against SK Broadband based on its so-called obligation to pay network usage fees, arguing that all it does is create content while making said content available. This argument was less than successful though, with the Seoul Central District Court ruling against Netflix and allowing the platform to present its case once more come December. Has Netflix made any official statements in this regard? According to an official statement from the streaming platform, Netflix has invested around 770 billion won, which is equivalent to around 649 million US dollars in South Korea's television and film production industry. This has resulted in the creation of around 16,000 jobs, which has gone on to prop up the economy of the small country tenfold. As such, Netflix don't believe that the payment of network usage fees would truly be a fair reflection of the situation at hand. How this is going to work out in the end, we have no idea, but since Netflix has pretty deep pockets, we wouldn't be surprised if nothing comes of it. For those who haven't watched yet, what is Squid Game anyway? For those of you who've been living under a rock, Squid Game is a show that revolves around the character Gi-hun, a deadbeat father and son who would much rather gamble his life away than look after his family. Suffice to say, this leads him down a rabbit hole of debt, which causes him to be selected by a mysterious organization that intends on giving down and out citizens a chance to earn a massive amount of money. After being visited by a mysterious recruiter who hands him a telephone number, Gi-hun finds himself on the brink of destruction. With his mother now in need of surgery and absolutely zero funds to secure this, there's just one option left. Calls the mysterious number and gets an invitation to the games. But this isn't just any tournament. After being picked up by a van and knocked out with some sort of gas, Gi-hun awakes in a sleeping hall filled with 456 players. And according to the red henchmen who appear to be holding them hostage, everyone will be given the opportunity to earn an insane amount of South Korean won in the coming days. All they would have to do is complete 6 childhood games to the best of their ability. What's left out is the fact that elimination from the games means certain death, a term and condition that takes the players by surprise during the runtime of the first game. And there you have it, the vast controversies of Netflix's Squid Game explained. But what do you think of the platform having to pay network usage fees? And what would you have done if your telephone number was irresponsibly used? Be sure to let us know in the comments section down below.